We have a very special afternoon planned for you. We've been working towards this afternoon probably since last year when we did the recreation of the CBS Radio Mystery Theater. How many of you were here for that recreation last year? Okay, well, we have established a precedent now on the Saturday before the Radio Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. We are going to do something special for radio here at the museum, at least until such time that we can't take care of all the people who want to come to one of these things. We have to go to a bigger auditorium somewhere. But we love to do it here because this is kind of a nice, intimate place, and we have a wonderful kind of a rapport with the audience and with the people who are doing what we do here on the stage. Our first guest from California is the woman who, as a very young lady, had a very important role on the great Gildersleeve broadcast. She was Gildy's niece, Marjorie. I'd like you to welcome Mary Lee Robb. Mary Lee Robb. Our second guest is another lady from the Gildersleeve cast, and she was always the light of Gildy's life. She was the Southern Belle on that show and did so many other great radio shows, who entertained us all. From California once again, here is Shirley Mitchell. Well, these two are going to do a wonderful job for us, and I'm sad to tell you, no, I wouldn't do that to you. Ladies and gentlemen, Willard Waterman, the great Gildersleeve. You have been working this morning. We put you to work rehearsing a little Gildersleeve broadcast that we're going to get to see a little later. But I'd like to put you to work again right now and ask you to reminisce. It's not too hard to reminisce, I don't think. Willard, you're from?
Madison, Wisconsin, originally.
Wisconsin. And you came to Chicago when?
Well, they kicked me out of the University of Wisconsin in 1935. And everything was going in radio in Chicago at the time, so I came to Chicago and began pounding on agency doors looking for a job, and I found a couple and spent about 12 years in Chicago radio during the heyday of radio, as they say, the soap operas and the children's shows like Jack Armstrong and Tom Mix, which I played a couple parts in, and did a lot of the evening shows like First Nighter, Grand Hotel, Fifth Row Center, and most of the shows in Chicago.
You were on the Chicago Theater of the Air for a number of years, too.
A number of years, yes. We used to do the show in the theater, CBS, NBC, Mutual Theater. Between the Tribune Tower and the next door, there would be a 500-seat theater in there. We did all our shows from there. Now it's a bank.
Now it's a bank. Shirley, you grew up in Toledo, isn't that right?
Uh-huh.
And you have a very interesting beginning to your broadcast career. You almost left home as a teenager, right?
I did.
Mm-hmm. Not almost.
I was a crazy teenager who only cared about acting, and even in high school. Well, actually, the first thing I ever did was The Lone Ranger from WJR in Detroit. I was 13 years old, and I got on a bus, by golly, and I auditioned, and they called me, and I went and did it. And my fee for that show, for a 13-year-old, was $3.50.
Oh,
You know what? It was the most beautiful check I've ever seen in my life.
well, that was overscale.
He's not kidding.
In Chicago, it was $2.50.
You know, when you think about, you really had to love this craft, because you certainly didn't do it for the money, not then.
Well, not until after it came in.
Yeah, well, and you were one of the people responsible for our union, which was AFRA then, because there wasn't any television, and subsequently has become AFTRA. But Willard here and many others like him were responsible for helping us, you know, monetarily and helping us become so powerful. Thank you, and thank God. And then I went back to Toledo, and my junior year I won a scholarship to the Lakeshore Theater Colony in Plymouth. So I really started very young, and when I graduated from high school, I spent a year at the Cleveland Playhouse in Cleveland as an apprentice. And then I went to Chicago to try to find my way into radio, and I promised my parents that if I didn't succeed in 2 weeks, that I would come back home and go to the University of Toledo and become a teacher. Okay? So you know how desperate I was to get a job.
Pounding on a lot of doors in 2 weeks.
And I really did. And by golly, an actress here whom you all know, I'm sure, Betty Lou Gerson, was married to a producer by the name of Joe Ainley, and he did First Nighter. And I would just go up to NBC on the 7th floor, remember, Bill? And sit there, and finally got to know Betty Lou. And one day I stopped her and I said, Miss Gerson, I know your husband does First Nighter, and I think I would be good for him. Could you just give me an audition, and then if I'm good enough, you know, recommend me to your husband? And she said yes. And you know, I think now would I have done the same for a kid sitting in the lobby wanting an audition, which was really fabulous. She's responsible. And I auditioned for her, and the next day, she said, as soon as I finished, I'm recommending you to Joe. The next day I got a call to audition for Mr. Ainley, which I did, and a week later I got my first job, which was on the First Nighter. How's that for an opener? I mean... And I have to tell you something else which I'm going to share with you, which is really kind of naughty. But when I finished that show, we had to wear formals, and I remember I had this dumb-looking little thing because it was done in a theater. Les Tremaine, the leading man, was actually in white tie and tails. I mean, it was magnificent. I was so excited when we finished that 2 guys I knew had asked to take me to the Beachcomber. My husband knows the story. Took me to the Beachcomber. I didn't know what a zombie was. And they said, try a zombie, you're going to love it. So I ordered a zombie, and I thought, this is the greatest thing I've ever had. It's like an ice cream soda. And I slurped it down. When I tell you that as I got off the bar stool, they carried me to I was at the Harriet McCormick, I think the YWCA on Dearborn, where no men were allowed upstairs. They had to permit them to carry me upstairs. True story, so
And you didn't ask them to stay.
Mary Lee, you have a roots in Chicago as well.
You bet.
You went to Mundelein College.
I went there as a child. I didn't. I'm a Chicago girl and an NBC daughter too. My dad started at NBC in 1929. He had managed Amos and Andy, so he kind of came across, and that's how we got started. And then when I was a kid, he also discovered Mercedes McCambridge, and she went to Mundelein, and Sister Mary Leola with the voice-speaking choir. So I started there going to dramatics when I was about 10, I guess. And then we moved to California when everybody moved on out. And
did you do any radio work?
Not in Chicago, no. And then when I was in, same thing, we got a scholarship and did some of that, and then went to, decided I wanted to try radio. In those days I started out in the, doing commercials, which at that time, it's so interesting how change occur. It was a no-no for an actress. It was kiss of death. You either were, I did dream commercials, I did everything. Oh no, you'll never make it. But we came across. Now everybody just drools to do a commercial, But first job I got, it was one of those things. You can't get a job unless you have a card. Right? So finally, Lum and Abner took pity on me, and I think it was the first girl on it, Lum and Abner, and played the daughter, got married on it, and had lines like, "Don't cry, Papa." That was about it. But that was, and I think I got paid $40, and my union card was $75, and I thought, this is not the business I should be in. But I used to do baby cries, and it was the only time I ever beat Jerry Hausner out of a baby cry, and I did it on Fanny Bryce. And
Do it for him.
Who'd you do?
I did a baby. Just did a baby cry.
Do a baby cry.
We have to hear it.
Oh, I haven't heard it and done it in years. Let me think about it later. Maybe when
let her get away with
when
it,
we
right?
warm up a little and get to know each other better, right? But I got paid $100 for that, and I thought, okay, I'm staying, right? Because that was a big time show.
Indication that young is better.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I kept trying. Same thing. Knocked on doors. Finally, Fran Van Hardesveld, who was the director, producer of our show on Gildersleeve, said, come on in, to get rid of me. You know how you did. And he let me do a background noise, which paid no money practically, but it was fun. And it just happened that this Marjorie wasn't there that day, and I got to read for it. And I started in September. So sometimes, that's what I was telling my understudy, sometimes it pays to understudy. It's like Shirley MacLaine when Gwen Verdon broke her ankle, So that started me, but I did a lot of other shows, and Burns and Allen, and I wasn't the major gal on Father Knows Best, but I was always the girlfriend of the girl, that sort of stuff. So it was a wonderful career. I said to so many of the people who were darling enough to invite us here, and we just love being with you, and they're all so professional and wonderful. But it was it was an era that you just knew you were walking around in clover, you knew it was, you'd do it for free almost. If you could have afforded it, because the people were wonderful. It was like a family. Met some of the most interesting people. So I've been very fortunate. Thank you.
Well, we've been lucky to have you too, I tell you that. Well, now, Willard, you had broadcasts in Chicago on a variety of stations. You weren't under contract, were you, to any single network or station?
At the first, I was under contract to NBC, and then I broke that contract because I wasn't getting on the shows that I wanted to get on. And then I began freelancing all over Chicago. And I think I did all of the soap operas at one time or another. I had Backstage Wife, and a number of them I had regular parts in. Road of Life, then so a lot of the Erna Phillips shows that I did.
Ma Perkins?
Oh yes, a couple of Ma Perkins.
Woman in White?
Woman in White, and Mary Marlin, all of the soap operas. And as I say, the kid shows, particularly in Tom Mix, I did a character called Diamonds, who was the villain of the piece every other week. And I was the villain on those shows. And then when I wasn't doing that, I was playing Longbow Billy, who was a good friend of Tom's. And I played him with a saddle, sort of. I don't know how you play with a saddle.
I don't either.
I found a way. But and a lot of the first nighter at Grand Hotel, Fifth Row Center, and as you say, the one on
Chicago Theater.
Chicago Theater, the Air. And I at one time, I was busy every day from about 7 o'clock in the morning until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And I always say I did 40 shows a week. My wife objects to that. She doesn't think I worked that hard. But I did a lot of shows every week.
Well, you were on the various stations, and doing that many shows in a week, you must have had, if not a total conflict, at least a back-to-back situation. That must have been kind of tough for you.
At one time, this was a complete surprise and difficulty. I was on 3 networks in 45 minutes.
Wow.
I did a show at Bachelor's Children at CBS, and I also was in a show at Mutual across the street at WGN, Painted Dreams, and then I did a part in a show at NBC called Thunder in the Air, and somehow they forgot to call me for the show in the middle, and I found that I was in that, and so I had to do Bachelor Children in the Wrigley Building on CBS, run across the street to WGN Mutual and do Painted Dreams, and then I had a cab waiting for me down below the Tribune Tower, and I jumped in that cab and went across Kinsey Street to NBC, and the show was set up where I was in the first 3 pages.
Oh, my Lord.
But fortunately, the scenes were the same time. So they switched the 3 pages to the
To
end.
the end.
And I made the show at NBC. But I was beating that cab driver over the head.
You were lucky the bridge wasn't up.
That you learn very early in Chicago.
That's right.
Don't go that way. Go across Kinsey Street, there's no bridge.
But didn't the Chicago actors use that as an excuse sometimes if they were late for a broadcast?
Well,
The bridge was up.
The bridge was up. Yeah, that was the. In fact, director on Bob Perkins. What the hell? He had a group, and when we were out in L.A. in Hollywood, had a group that met him at this restaurant on Hollywood Boulevard.
Oh, you're talking about George Fogel?
George
George
Fogel.
Fogel, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And we call it the Bridge Was Up Club. We got together about once every week.
Shirley, you did a Southern roll on that first nighter broadcast, didn't you? One of that early broadcasts.
I think so. Yes, that I did. Yeah.
Wasn't that the first of a long line of Southern belles that you brought to the radio waves?
That was the first one, and that woman was not specifically Southern. Joe made her Southern because he liked my accent. No, because then I went on the Ransom Sherman show. Ransom was a summer replacement for Fibber, and I did a totally different. I did something called Mrs. Valseat, who had a really terrible voice, talked like that all the time. But then when I got on Gildersleeve, after it had been on a few years, that was a one-shot. They had no idea that it was going to work that way, and they too liked my Southern. So that is true. That was responsible for Leela.
Well, I don't think anybody could not want to have someone on the Gildersleeve program who could say Throckmorton like Leela Ransom. I mean, Throckmorton is 3 syllables, right?
That's
but
right.
you got so much out of that. I don't know, should we ought to wait for the
Let's wait.
recreation.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll wait.
Mary Lee, you said you were kind of background people in a Gildersleeve, at a Gildersleeve broadcast, and they brought you on for that. What happened? You had replaced eventually Louise Erickson.
Right.
But what happened to Louise? I mean, she was gone for one day. I mean, it
Well,
was
she was gone up until the very, just before the show started. We were, here I am with this illustrious, wonderful cast, and Walter, and, God
Yeah.
love him. And so he and Una was on it after you had gotten married.
Yeah.
Una Merkel was playing one of the characters. And so they kind of propped me up. I said to them, I said, look, the band is all there, the very best musicians, tops, all waiting to do this. And it just so happened that she was going to New York, I think, to go in a play. And she was rehearsing a show somewhere, and I don't know whether the time got past her mother should have called, one of those things. So I said, well, do you want me to read it? Let me read it so you can time it. I, just bravely walked up and said, I'll do it and she'll be here in a minute. Well, we went, we got through it and did it, and then I took her cuts, as we did in those days when they show. All of a sudden, they said, well, you're going to have to do it. And then I went, oh, what have I done? But anyway, so fortunately, just as we were standing in the wing, down where we came in she came. So it was very fortunate, and she got to do it. And I was really quite happy that she did. But then she was going on to New York, and so then I got to do it. Started in September.
So you didn't actually do it that day?
No, I didn't do it that day. No, that was just...
Well, that had to be one of the great disappointments of your life.
No, it wasn't. No? Truly it wasn't. I was not prepared for it mentally. You know how it's just... the old thing about show business, run in and save the show. I suppose I could have, but I was just as happy that I started in September.
Yeah, but what happened was she did a marvelous audition, apparently, and they heard her and realized she could...
That was the whole thing. Yeah. I got to audition with the full orchestra, all the stars, which you never get to do. So it was wonderful. It was a great opportunity. It was lots of fun.
Well, when you started on the Gildersleeve show, it was about 48, wasn't it?
I guess that's right.
You were working with Harold Perry.
Harold Perry.
In the role, and he stayed on it until the end of the 1949-50 season.
Yeah.
And then you came in, 50, and stayed another 9 years, I think.
That's right.
He played it from 1941 to 1950. I did it from 50 to 59.
Now, everybody wants to know why he left. We know that you came in and did a tremendous job, but we want to know why he left.
Well, there have been a lot of stories about it, but I know the actual fact. In the season of going into 1950, CBS raided NBC. Remember, Benny went over there, Phil Harris.
That's right.
A lot of the shows went over to NBC. Hal's agent, thinking they were going to spring a surprise, sold him to a contract at CBS. And as I say, all these shows went over there. But when it came time that fall for Gildersleeve to go, Kraft did not want to go. So then it came a question of recasting. And Hal, one of those fortunate things for me was Hal and I were both under contract to NBC much earlier. And when we'd go on the same show, he would say to me, or I would say to him, you want to go high and I'll go low, or you do a dialect and I won't, so we wouldn't sound alike. Because we had a great similarity in voice. Mine's a little heavier than Hal's was, but the voices sounded a lot alike. And so when it came time that Hal was under contract to NBC and the show was going to stay on NBC, Frank Pittman, who was the director, called me and said, I had already been on the show a couple of times when I was in Hollywood. And he called me and said, Willard, I don't worry about your acting particularly, but the writers and myself would like to have you come in and read for us, and we'll make up our minds whether we want to go with a sound-alike or whether we want a completely different character. And I was willing to go in very easily, but it was a good thing for me too, because I couldn't be sure whether I wanted to step into a character like that. It might be a way of ruining my career. And so I went in and read, and Andy and John and Paul, the writers of the show, wrote the show so well. The show was so well written. The show was just Gildersleeve. That's all there was to it. And I played the character, and I didn't have to worry about watching any similarity or copying anything. I just played the character, and it worked out beautifully for me.
It certainly did. It worked out for everybody who liked the
That's
Gildersleeve
right.
program, you know.
And very few people realized that there had been a change. They were so alike. He just fell into the character.
You got top billing on the show, Willard Waterman as the great Gildersleeve, where it used to be Hal Perry as the great Gildersleeve.
I don't think people
Sometimes
were as
people
aware
listen
of
to
that then, because we came in. Remember, Walter and I came down. We auditioned too with you, and it was such fun. We were, it just felt so easy.
Yeah.
I'd never worked with him before, but it was just so easy and wonderful, and we just zipped right on. And as you say, we've got very few letters to it. I don't think.
No, I don't think it was right.
And Hal was doing a show on CBS, but he couldn't use the title The Great Gildersleeve.
Yeah.
It was the Hal Perry show.
Honest Harold.
Honest Harold, right. And it just never...
Unfortunately
made
for
it.
Hal, and I say this, Hal was a very fine actor.
Yes.
And a very good friend. We were very friendly together. And it was unfortunate for Hal that they didn't use one of his other characters.
That's right.
He had many characters that he could do and build a show around that instead of trying to make a
Water commissioner, whatever, something like that.
a Gildersleeve show out of it. And they did it. They had a character like Hooker and
Tried to do primarily the same thing. It just
and
never
they
worked.
just didn't have, unfortunately, the Walter Tetley for one, who was impossible to imitate. In fact, one of the bad things when we started to do the television series that we couldn't use Walter because nobody played Leroy like Walter. And then, of course, it was always Judge Hooker, Earl Ross, and LeGrand, who did
Dick
Peavy.
LeGrand, who did Peavy.
And these were characters that were so well established, and the people knew them so well that they missed them. And I think Hal would have been much better off if they used one of his other characters and built a show around that.
He probably would have been much better off if he had gotten rid of that agent.
That's right.
I mean, to
it,
send him, for the agent to sign him to CBS without really thinking that the show could move to CBS. And Kraft, I think, had a long history of loyalty to NBC.
Oh, they did.
I mean, it goes back, way back, see? So that was unfortunate
Kraft
for him.
just didn't want to move.
And they wouldn't release the title, and that's what killed Hal.
But the people who were on, the general cast, with a few changes along the line, basically was established and stayed with that show for almost the whole run of the show. I mean, you had Lillian Randolph as Bertie, and Walter Tetley as Leroy, and so many of the others. They just stayed there. And in fact, your character, Mary Lee, was the one that had, Lorene Tuttle started out as Marjorie,
right.
Yeah.
and then Louise, and then yourself, and that was it for the run. And yours was just, Hal Perry and yourself.
Yeah.
And others, now Leela, you were always, whenever there was Leela on the show, it was you.
Leela, right.
There were other actresses when you weren't available or weren't part of it, who took on the role of a different girlfriend of Gilda, Eve Goodwin and Catherine
But
something.
there was no other Leela.
No, that's right. There's never been another Shirley. That's right.
Now, Willard, you came in and took over that role and did an outstanding job, and most of the audience didn't realize that. But if you listen closely, there were some subtle differences between you and Hal. And one not so subtle difference, I guess, was the laugh that he had used for so many years on that show.
Well, it was his laugh, and I knew that, and I realized it, and so I didn't use it. Nobody remembers that I didn't use it because a lot of people have said, "Oh, you're Gildersleeve, let me hear you laugh." And I have to steer away from that some way or another and explain that it was his laugh, and I just didn't want to use it. So I laughed, but I didn't do the Gildersleeve laugh, was the hee. I can't even do it now.
Not in his repertoire.
But I just didn't want to do that. That was more of an imitation that I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. And you did it more like a that kind of a.
Yeah, I did a
Yeah.
I did a lot of the break in the voice, which was part of his character too. The
Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve was water commissioner. Occasionally he'd run for mayor or something like that, but he was always the water commissioner.
Yeah.
Leela was the southern widow who lived nearby, next door, real close by. And Leroy was the young nephew, and all these other people. None of them really got any older in this 18 years of the show, except Marjorie.
Marjorie.
And it's incredible. I mean, Marjorie grew up and got older, while her little brother Leroy
stayed the same.
That's very funny.
stayed the same.
That's right.
And it was very interesting. It was not an awkward device. It did not fail to work. And you got married on the show, and you had twins on the show.
Had the famous Name the Twins contest, one of the great contests, I guess, for Kraft.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now tell us about Mary Lee. Tell us about Marjorie's marriage to Bronco, right?
Well, it was most interesting. There was an article, and they did a Look magazine thing on us, and somebody would ask me today, did you dress up for the show? We really did. It was like we all dressed and wore, tried to look as great as we could because the audience was wonderful, and we're all here together, So when they did the wedding, there was a little Episcopal church over in Hollywood, and they did the whole thing from there, and photographed it, me in the wedding dress, all of it. So I have those pictures. Sometimes I'll send them back, but it was really kind of fun, and it seemed to go. Dick Crenna, I always have to give credit to Dick Crenna because he is one of the most wonderful actors. Was probably the most successful juvenile. He played with me, played with Louise. He played Walter Denton on Artemis Brooks.
Real McCoy. Walter Brennan.
And this kid did not know what it was like to sit still. I mean, he just was, and he could do anything. And now, of course, you know him. He's on all those Rambo, he did all that stuff. Richard Crenna plays the wonderful detective. He's really grown up and was grown up in it. It was a great thing. And he was my husband. And Gil Stratton, another very nice young man, was on it. He also is a sports announcer, was in California. He played on it with us, and I've forgotten who else. But basically, it was mostly Dick. It was the character we're doing today was not around. I was not around for that one. This is one of the part of it is at least is the earlier one. So it's really great fun for me it's kind of new waters, to hear this one. So.
Well, what kind of response did you get from the audience, the listening audience, to the wedding, to the marriage? I mean, did anybody in the listening audience in the USA send you a wedding card, or did they send you a wedding gift or anything
I think that we had a very discerning audience. I mean, I don't think they were part of. I mean, they knew that we were characters, and that it was not, one of those things. I don't think so. Maybe they got something on the babies. I really didn't get involved in it. But we got lots of nice letters, but. In fact, I got pregnant when I married when I was on the show, and I told one of the gals I wore a maternity dress on it, which was quite, new in those days. Poor Lucy, but that was television. But my daughter was born in July. We went off in May, and then came back on again in September. So never missed a beat.
Well, you were playing an unmarried Marjorie at the time you were expecting?
I can't remember right now. You don't. See, this is you get us on the spot. I mean, you all have such knowledge. It was kind of long ago. And hazy.
We were immediately involved in the Name the Twin contest.
Yeah, remember Willard?
That was a big contest.
That was a big contest. Yeah.
Yeah, big.
And they didn't know that that Marjorie and Bronco were expecting twins, right?
No,
They were
I
expecting a
guess no.
baby.
Yeah.
And the baby was going to come, and then all of a sudden, boom, it was twins. And that just started this whole Name the Twins contest.
Yeah.
Can you name the twins?
Do you remember their name?
I thought I gave you that. No.
She brought a nice little packet of goodies of magazines and
Of
presses
stuff
and
that
things
Willard
like that.
and-
But I put that aside. I didn't bring it up here with me. But I think we played that, didn't we, once? We played the twins sequence.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, what kind of... everyone asked me about Walter Tetley, and I'm sure everyone asked you about Walter Tetley. I mean, this man had such tremendous timing and impeccable delivery, but we don't know much about him.
No, nobody does.
What can you tell us?
Well, this is a very difficult
Yeah.
situation to talk about, really, except that it's such a bull in his bonnet, really. He was a tremendously agile and talented actor. He was, my wife doesn't like it when I say this, he was one of the little people. He was 64 or 5.
Well, he was not a little. That's what was so interesting.
Yeah.
It's like,
He looked like a 17-year-old kid, didn't he?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he
But he had a problem.
he had no beard
No.
ever, and his voice, of course, really never changed. And what he could do with a line was
Incredible.
wonderful, just great.
and a
Brilliant.
loving person. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I'm an only child, so he was my brother, you know. He was so good to me, and I just adored him, and he was
Everybody.
wonderful to his mother and his family, and took such care. We used to have barn dances out in his barn in Encino. We'd all go out and he'd be the caller, you know. He was just a honey.
Very unusual man. But you never really thought of him as a man, did you, Bill? We always kind of
He
thought of
was-
him as Leroy.
No question about Leroy. He was there all the time.
Bouncing around, you know, full of pep and vinegar and...
Well, he died in the
Died
70s
early.
sometime, didn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah,
And if you said he was about 65 when
was
he died in the
63 or
70s?
4.
And he looked 17.
So he was
Truly.
35 or 40 years old or so when he
Yeah.
was doing the Gildersleeve broadcast.
That's right.
he looked 17, and yet
He got really close.
he wasn't. He didn't look young enough to play it in the television
In the films,
series.
no, because he looked, there was just almost a strange quality. If any of you remember, you know, Walter really started on Fred Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was a genius on that. He was this nasty little kid, remember?
And let's pretend.
And let's pretend, so...
Yeah.
Well, we can't avoid mentioning the fact that he did a tremendous job on the Phil Harris Alice
Phil
Faye
Harris.
show.
Oh,
Yeah,
he was
right?
just fabulous,
Yeah.
fabulous. And when
Well,
he started
great.
dating, you know, he started dating later on. Do you remember a little bit? And it was because he never shaved and he was rather wrinkled. There was just something, you know, a little off-center about it. But he was the best-hearted, dearest, kindest, funniest man. And we all really thought of him as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't we?
My brother was.
And I'm sure he was older than I,
You never
without
felt,
realizing it.
never realized his age.
No,
So,
no.
Well, you worked with Lillian Randolph, who was Birdie,
yes.
and she was really Birdie through that whole run of that show, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And she was, in a way,
In fact, she did the television series with us.
well, she was in a way the mother figure on that program.
Uh-huh.
If you were the
Sure.
father figure,
She
Gildy
was.
was. She kept everything, including Gildy, in proper order, I think.
Yeah.
It was so great. We used to go in her dressing room. We would all sit in her dressing room. And, you know, it really, people, you hear that so bandied about that it was a family show. It really was. I mean, I think, I was saying, I heard Betty White was working on, with Bob Newhart, and she said it's like a family, and I thought, I know that feeling, you know. It was not, I mean, everybody was very caring about each other. It was a nice time, you know, it was lovely, and she was great. Funny.
We
Great gal.
were a family Mike, you should say. But the thing about radio in those days was it was a family show, a family deal. The people would gather together as a family on Wednesday and listen to us. On Sunday it was Benny, and Tuesday was Fibber and Molly, and the family just seemed to gather together, turn on the radio, and listen as a family to all those shows, one every night at least. And that's why the whole radio situation is a family-oriented thing for
And
me.
all of you here, this is a family.
That's right.
You know, the people who are still attached to it. I think it's wonderful.
Well, we're so glad that you folks came to Chicago for this special event, and I know you did not come alone. You came with your spice, or spouses. And Mary Lee's husband, Bill Klein, is with us today. I want you to stand up, Bill, and take a bow. Bill Klein.
Your husband's going to
And Willard Waterman's bride of 56 years is here. Mariana, why don't you stand up and take a bow? And Shirley Mitchell's husband, Jay Livingston, is back here. Jay, why don't you stand up, take a bow? Now, I know he's not ready for this, but in the script that we have today, there's a little musical scene, and Shirley said that you play the piano a little bit. Is that right?
Yeah, somewhat.
Do you think we could get you, if not to play the piano in the script, would you play a little musical interlude? We're going to have to change the stage and all of that sort of thing.
Sure,
Would you do that? Okay, come on down. Come on down.
Are we going to get off the stage?
Oh, yeah.
Get a couple of airline tickets. We try to take advantage of everything that we can. Yeah, why don't you stay right here? Yeah. Now, do you know anything?
Yeah, I know a few songs.
You know a few songs?
Yeah.
Okay, this is Jay Mitchell. Jay Livingston. Where have I heard that name before?
My partner, Ray Evans, and I were hired for Paramount Pictures to write songs for the shorts. No, the big writers didn't want to write those things, so they got us young guys to do it. And one day, the first 6 months, a picture came along called To Each His Own. Now, they said, can you write a title song called To Each His Own? Because Victor Young refused to write it, did the music score. He was supposed to write it. Nobody ever heard that expression before. This song put it into the language. We would have written Come to Jesus and He Fled, they never asked us to. So we wrote To Each His Own, and #1 song of the year, and started our whole career, and went like this. A rose must remain with the sun and the rain, or its lovely promise won't come true. To each his own, to each his own, and my own is you. Two lips must insist on two more to be kissed, or they'll never know what love can do. To each his own, I found my own, one and only you. Now, a little later on, they asked us to write a Christmas song for Bob Hope. Now, I did not want to write a Christmas song. Neither of us did, because Christmas songs every year are always the old song. They don't do any new ones. No, new ones never step out. They do Silent Night and White Christmas. We said we didn't want to write a Christmas song, but they were adamant. They're always adamant. We had to write a Christmas song. So we wrote a song called Tinkle Bell, about the tinkly bells you hear at Christmas, from the Santa Claus and the Salvation Army. I figured that's going to be in the picture. You'll never hear it, going to be in the picture, and that's the end of it. When I went home that night, my wife said, "What'd you do in school today?" or something like that. I said, "We wrote a song called Tinkle Bell." She said, "You wrote a song called Tinkle Bell?" I said, "Are you out of your mind?" I said, "Wait, wives can talk sometime. Do you know what the word tinkle means to most people?" Never occurred to us. And I realized, that's the word the women use all the time. So I went in the studio that day and I said, we can't use that song. It's a bathroom connotation. It's not going to work. We threw it away, tried to write a new one. We kept coming back to Tinkle Bell. It had nice words, had nice music, and we ended up with Tinkle Bell just like we first wrote it. Every word, every note, except we took the word tinkle out. And this song, which we didn't want to write, has sold 150 million records. Silver bells, it's Christmas time in the city. Ring-a-ling, hear them ring, soon it will be Christmas Day. City sidewalks, busy sidewalks, dressed in holiday style. In the air there's a feeling of Christmas. Children laughing, people passing, meeting smile after smile. And on every street corner you hear silver bells, tinkle bell, soon it will be Christmas Day. I wrote a couple of TV themes you've probably heard. They were a very big show. They went like this. We got a right to fight a little fight bonanza. If anyone fights any one of us, he's got to fight with me. We're not the one to settle up and run bonanza. Any one of us who starts a little fuss knows he can count on me. And this one. A horse is a horse, of course, and no one can talk to a horse, of course, that is, of course, unless the horse is a famous Mr. Red. You never heard of a talking horse. Well, listen to this. I am Mr. Ed. The producers of that show were too cheap to hire professional singers, so you've just heard the actual singing voice of Mr. Ed, because I had to do it. We wrote a lot of title songs. The studio was a lot of title songs. Every time the song was sung on the air, it plugged the title of the movie. You've heard To Each His Own. We had one called Golden Earrings, was a big title song hit. And, of course, Mr. Ed and Bonanza. We had some crazy titles to write, but we had to do them. That was the order from the front office. We wrote a song called When Worlds Collide, if you can believe it or not. It went, when worlds collide and mountains tumble, I'll stop loving you. That's how you do it. They asked us to write a song called Vertigo for a big picture. Well, we said we can't write a song called Vertigo. It's stupid. But Alfred Hitchcock was the director, and he called us in. He said, gentlemen, he said, the studio thinks that nobody knows what the word vertigo means. So if you'll write a song for me, and tell what the word vertigo means in the title, in the lyric, help us very much. So he was so charming, and the money was good. So we said, okay, we'll write Vertigo. Now, we go to make a demonstration record. This fellow had sung it about 6 times by now, just to see if we'd done our job. I said, do you know what the word vertigo means? He said, it's an island in the West Indies, isn't it? So it's as far away we were. One we wrote that nobody else would ever write was The Mole People, M-O-L-E. Shows you can write anything if you have to. And the Mole People went like this. One day an archaeologist was digging underground. And he dug through mud, and he dug through stone, and he dug clear down to the great unknown. And what do you suppose he found? Running all around. The Mole People, they live in a hole, people. Deep down in the earth, they've dug a busy world of their own. Listen, you'll hear them jumpity 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 jump, 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 jump. Under Boston class, they're a better. Under Boston Mass, they're a better class. They have that Harvard draw. But what a mess at a Bronx address. The subway train came through the wall. Mole People, they live in a hole, people. They're under Mount Everest and the Okefenokee Swamp. They have to dig and hack to China and back so they'll have room to romp. So they chumpity, 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 chump, 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 chump. And that's the Mole People. My favorite song, one you might not know, but all our songs have very simple chords, like 3 or 4 chords in them. And this one, the world of jazz is taken to their hearts, and I'm very proud of it. It changes chords every bar. I'm going to sing it for you now. Never let me go, love me much too much. If you let me go, life would lose its touch. What would I be without you? There's no place for me without you. Never let me go, I'd be so lost if you went away. There'd be 1,000 hours in the day. Without you, I know. Because of one caress, my world was overturned. At the very start, all my bridges burned by my flaming heart. You wouldn't leave me, would you? You couldn't hurt me, could you? Never let me go. Never let me go. Now, we wrote a song for Debbie Reynolds, was nominated for an Academy Award. It didn't win. I hear the cottonwoods whispering above. Tammy, Tammy, Tammy's in love. The old Rudy owl, Rudy moves through the dove. Tammy, Tammy, Tammy's in love. Wrote a song for Sophia Moran, which is a nice job, for Houseboat. You're near, nominated for the Academy Award, I've got to tell you, it didn't win either. You're near, that moment's here, I'm almost in your arms. Tonight, the mood is right, I'm almost in your arms. This song nominated for the Academy Award also, written with Henry Mancini, didn't win either. Dear heart, wish you were here to warm this night. My dear heart, seems like a year since you've been out of my sight. Wrote this song for Bob Hope, nominated for the Academy Award again. It won. We almost didn't get to write it. We had to write a song for Bob Hope to sing to Jane Russell in the back of a covered wagon. And they wanted to take the wrong trail, so the writers said, why don't they sing a little song? That's always their answer. And he gets so caught up in the song, he takes the wrong trail and leads all his wagons into an Indian ambush. And that's what we had to do. We wrote a song called Skookum. It's a real Indian word that means okay. Went to the director, and we said, we got your song, Mr. McLeod. Norman McLeod was his name. And I did Skookum. Betcha me, get you, like the Indian said, I'd be your big chief mate. Then life's gonna be skookum, skookum mean you great. Give a whoop, what Geronimo did, and hug me like you should. Then life's gonna be skookum, skookum mean heap good. Now the director said, no way am I gonna use that song. Shook us up pretty good. He said, this is a very serious scene with the Indians. There's an ambush coming up. Nobody's going to. We said nobody's going to worry about Bob Hope getting shot. He said, you're taking all the dramatic content out of this scene. I can't have a comedy song about the Indians. They're a menace. We were very unhappy. Went back to our office and wrote this song, which won our first Academy Award. East is east and west is west, and the wrong one I have chose. Let's go where you keep on wearing those frills and flowers and buttons and bows, rings and things and buttons and bows. Don't bury me on this prairie, take me where the cement grows. Let's move down to some big town where they love a gal by the cut of her clothes, and you stand out in buttons and bows. I'll love you in buckskin and skirts that you've homespun, but I'll love you longer, stronger, where your friends don't tote a gun. My bones denounce the buckboard bounce and the cactus hurts my toes. Let's vamoose where gals keep using those silks and satins and linen that shows, and you're all mine in buttons and bows. and trimming where women are women in high silk clothes and peekaboo clothes and French perfume that rocks the room, and you're all mine in buttons and bows. This song was made famous by Nat Cole, and it won us another Oscar. It went like this. Mona Lisa, minute named you. You're so like the lady with the mystic smile. Is it only 'cause you're lonely they have blamed you? For that Mona Lisa strangeness in your smile. Do you smile to tempt a lover, Mona Lisa? Or is this your way to hide a broken heart? Many dreams have been brought to your doorstep. They just lie there and they die there. Are you warm? Are you real, Mona Lisa? Or just a cold and lonely, lovely work of art? We wrote this song for Doris Day. Won another Oscar. Our third Oscar went like this. When I was just a little boy, I asked my mother, what will I be? Will I be handsome? Will I be rich? Here's what she said to me. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. When I grew up and fell in love, I asked my sweetheart what lies ahead. Will we have rainbows day after day? Here's what my sweetheart said. You ain't nothing but a hound. No, she said, que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. Oh, how I love those radio days when all those shows were our beck and call. You didn't need pictures to show you the way. You just imagined it all. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, the future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. Que sera, sera.
Ray Livingston, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we're going to tune into the great Gildersleeve now. And I want you to meet the cast. You met, of course, the three stars of our Gildersleeve broadcast. But I want you to meet the cast. The cast is made up of members of our Those Were the Days radio players. We have a half a dozen organizations all across the city. And each of those groups perform radio scripts, recreations, in front of civic groups and historic groups and senior groups and so forth all around. And on the second Sunday of every month, one of those groups performs right here in the radio studio theater downstairs on a second Sunday of every month. So we sent out a casting call to all of the members of all of these various groups and said, we're going to do a Gildersleeve recreation with Willard Waterman and Mary Lee Robb and Shirley Mitchell. Is there anybody who wants to be part of this? Well, they all stood up. We have a lot of talented people doing these recreations, and we had a difficult time, but we did select a group to perform with our stars this afternoon. Before I introduce our cast, I want you to meet a young man who has taken on the responsibility of being the coordinator for our Those Were the Days radio players. He started a script reading and performing group when he was at the University of Illinois as a student, as a graduate student, and he has carried that interest forward, and he is our coordinator, and he does an awful lot to keep all of our temperamental performers happy. And he does a lot of good work to keep us going with all of this stuff. I'd like Tom Turpick to stand up. He's way in the last row over there. Tom, take a bow. And thank you for all your help. In the role of Leroy in our broadcast today, we have Carl Hughes. Carl, come on up. Now, Carl, you're a member of which of those Were the Days groups?
The Northwestern.
Northwest Suburban Group?
Yeah.
Okay, and where do you go to school?
St. Andrews, Parkridge.
St. Andrews, Park Ridge, and how old are you?
12.
12 years old. You see, there's a new generation for old-time radio, right? I assume you've been listening to some of our broadcasts for a while.
Yeah.
You have a favorite?
I like Fair McGee and Molly a lot.
He's got a role in the Great Gildersleeve.
Well, I also Great Gildersleeve.
Okay, Carl, have a seat. Thank you. And in the role of Bertie Lee Coggins, we have Barbara Delcamper. Barbara? Barb, you're a member of which of our groups?
The South Side.
South Side, come up a little
Yes.
bit. And what do you do in real life?
In real life, I try to teach.
And where do you try?
I try at Conrady Junior High School, which I love.
Okay, well, I'm sure they love you too. Have a seat. We'll see you on the stage, on the radio. In the role of the druggist, Mr. Peavy, is Jim Linden, James Linden. Hi, Jim.
How are you?
You come from the
South.
South
organization
group?
also. Yes, indeed.
Okay,
Barbara and I.
and what do you do for a living?
I teach English and rhetoric.
And where do you teach?
Hinsdale Central High School.
Hinsdale Central. Okay, we're looking forward to hearing Mr. Peavy today. Judge Hooker is coming up now. It's Fritz Michaelis.
Hi, Chuck.
Hi, Fritz. And which Those Were the Days Radio Players group are you with?
Radio Players West.
Radio West, okay. Oh, I got a cheering section here, okay. And what do you do for a living?
I'm also a teacher. I teach art and photography, Elk Grove High School, Elk Grove Village, Illinois.
It'll be $1.25. Okay.
That's cheap.
You'll hear Mr. Peavy. Judge Hooker. In the role of the superintendent, no, not the superintendent, the guy in charge of the waterworks is Charlie Anderson, and it's Charles Beavis. Hi, Charlie.
Hi.
Which group are you with?
I'm with the Norwich Group.
The Norwich Group. And what do you do?
I am a transmission engineer for AT&T.
Oh, I need to talk to you a little bit about it. No, it's AT&T, not Ameritech. Okay.
No.
You've been involved with the radio players for a little while now, haven't you?
Yeah, about a year and a half.
And which characters have you played in the past?
Oh, I played Rochester. I played Phil Harris. And I've played on the Whistler a few minor parts. And that's about all I can think of.
Well, we're glad to have you with us today.
Yeah.
Have a seat. In our script today, Marjorie's boyfriend, Ben, this is BB, this is before Bronco, played by Norb Wiseman. Norb? Norb was in the special Christmas broadcast that we did last year, and on the day of the taping of that show, he came down with the worst case of laryngitis and a very, very bad cold, and he was really in bad shape, but he stayed with us, and he did a great job with that.
Yeah, my wife brought home a cold this week, too.
Oh, well, I hope you're okay today.
I'm fine, Chuck. Thank you very much.
Norb, what do you do?
I do the same thing you do. I'm retired.
No, I'm just tired, that's all.
Nothing. I'm retired.
Okay, great. And which organization of ours are you with?
Northwest Suburban.
Okay, have a seat and we'll
Thank you.
enjoy Norb Wiseman. Gildy's new secretary, little inexperienced secretary, is Bessie, and she's played by Deborah Pining. Deborah? Right here, Deb. How are you today?
Just fine.
Okay, you've been doing a lot of work with our radio players, haven't you?
That's very true.
You're with which group?
The Radio Players West.
West, okay. And the cheering section is down in front. What do you do, Deb?
I work for a large, well-known federal agency.
I'm getting deja vu. We went through this once, didn't it? You might as well tell us.
Internal Revenue Service.
Well, we enjoyed your participation in our performance. You can take a seat. You've done a few other things for us. We want you to have a seat right here, if we can find a spot for you. The Ken Carpenter role today is played by our announcer, of course, and that's Al Barbaro. Al? You know, I just saw he looks a little more like H.V. Kaltenborn, doesn't he?
I feel like him too.
Al, and you're from the
Radio West.
Radio West also, okay. And what do you do?
Retired from the Navy, working in the graphic arts industry, and I teach skiing.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes.
All right. Well, today you're going to teach us a thing or two about announcing, right?
Cheese.
Okay. Cheese. Okay. Have a seat. Thank you very much. Since today we could get Mr. Livingston to really participate in our broadcast, we went one step better and we got a member of one of those were the day's radio player groups, Gloria Gonigan, who's going to play our piano in this sketch today. Hi, Gloria.
Hello, Chuck.
You have been a member of which group now?
I'm in the West Group.
Another West group. And you have an interesting career. You do a lot of performing, don't you?
Yes, I perform for clubs, organizations, anybody will pay me. My own songs that I've written, both words and lyrics. I have a Christmas show and a brand new one called Music, the Glue of World War II. It held us all together.
Well, we may need a little of that glue before the afternoon is out. Thanks very much. Take your place at the Steinway. When you do a production like this, you need some sound effects people, and we have three people who are working have worked very diligently on sound effects and music cues and all of that sort of thing. First, we have Phil Wild. Phil, come on over, take a bow. Phil, you're with
the West Group. There's another group here? No?
Come over. See, sound guys never stay up close to the mic. And what do you do for a living?
I work for Meritech.
You just changed all your clothes and your names and everything
I had
else.
to change all the little patches and everything. And I changed the plug from the left to the right shoe.
Oh, you're all set.
Right,
okay.
I'm all set now.
Your spot is over there.
Right.
You have a seat over there.
Thank
We'll
you.
look forward to hearing your efforts today. Other sound people, we have Steve Dilley. Where's Steve? Come on, Steve. Steve, you're with which group?
Northwest Suburban.
Northwest Suburban. And what do you do?
Mechanical engineer for Indec Energy Services in Buffalo Grove.
Okay, and how did you get involved in that? You've done sound, but you've also done some acting too, haven't you?
Yes.
What have you acted in with our groups?
Played Henry Aldrich, and I've done quite a few different bit parts.
Okay, well, you have an important part today, sound.
Yes.
Have a spot over by your table there. Right. And Rosemary Swick. We are an equal opportunity employer here today. We have Rosemary Swick, who is a sound person. See, these are sound men, but you're not a sound woman, you're a sound person. It's what it's come to, right? Rosemary, what do you do?
I'm a housewife.
Mm-hmm. But you're thinking of doing a little professional acting, aren't you?
Uh-huh.
You're getting into it a little bit, aren't you?
Yes, I just got a job recently, so I'm thrilled.
Okay, well, we'll look for that job. Okay, and you're with which group?
Northwest Suburban.
Northwest Suburban. One of the movers and shakers of the Northwest Suburban group, too, aren't you?
I guess you could say
Okay.
that. It's fun.
Have a spot over there by the sound people. Engineers and technicians are notorious for not wanting to come up in front of the microphone, so we won't ask them to come up. But recording the entire proceedings this afternoon, all afternoon, are Jim Zaremski and Rick Garofalo. Why don't you guys stand up and take a bow? See, they won't even stand up. See, the engineers are everything they always say about it. These guys won't even get up. Let's bring back our stars. How about Mary Lee Robb, Shirley Mitchell, and Willard Waterman? And I do want you to meet the man who has directed this assembly of fine talent here. He's also from the West Group. He's Jed Skillman. Jed?
Hi, Chuck.
Jed has done an excellent job of bringing this all together. They've had a half a dozen rehearsals.
I pulled the performances out of each and every one of them.
That's right. Yeah. You should have been here before. I thought he was going to get killed. He was giving directions to Willard Waterman, who was very nice. He said, "Yes, young man."
He has a tough agent.
He has a tough
Talk to
agent.
me later.
Right, yeah. We'll look forward to a fine performance from your gang here.
We're ready to go.
Okay. One last thing. When the performance is over, please stay seated for a little, just a second or two anyway, and our cast is going to file out the back, and in the rotunda next door to us, we've got some tables set up where they're going to be for anybody who wants an autograph. And they'll be there as long as you want them to be there for autographs. But let them get out of the auditorium, and you can leave that way, and then there will be ushers here to show you exactly where that is. It's just the first door outside of the double doors here. And give them a second or two to get to their spots, and they'll be more than happy to autograph anything you want within reason. I mean, what can I say? So stick around. It's 3:45 p.m. BULOVA, Bull of a Watch time. The great Gildersleeve is next.
Kraft presents the great Gildersleeve.
Well, hello there.
The Kraft Cheese Company, who also bring you Bing Crosby every Thursday night, presents each week at this time Willard Waterman as the great Gildersleeve, co-starring Mary Lee Robb as Marjorie and Shirley Mitchell as Leela Ransom. The show is written by Don Whedon and Sam Moore. We'll hear from the great Gildersleeve in just a moment. But first, if there are cheese lovers in your family, you're probably wondering how to adjust their appetites to your red stamp ration booklet. Well, that's easily solved when you learn how simple it is to extend such favorites as Pabst-ett, the delicious golden cheese food with over 100 uses. You see, a great many of these 100 uses combine the unique cheddar cheese flavor of Pabst-ett with other foods for appetite-tingling results. So Pabst-ett becomes an economical luxury you can use thriftily and often. Just take leftover meats or vegetables or fish, add a smooth, appetizing cheese sauce made with Pabst-ett, and you have another delightful main dish for another meal that's wonderfully good to eat and extra nourishing. Yes, besides adding flavor, goodness, when you melt, toast, or slice it, Pabst-ett helps supply many of the milk nutrients your family needs. Milk protein and milk minerals, food energy, vitamin A, and vitamin G that's also called riboflavin. So remember the name, Pabst-ett, the delicious golden cheese food that comes in the flat, round package. Pabst-ett, the nourishing cheese food with over 100 uses. And now, on to Summerfield and the great Gildersleeve. It's spring in Summerfield. Lovely, lovely spring. Yes, you can feel it in the first warm rays of the sun slanting across the backyard. And you can hear it in the excitement of the birds twittering in the maples and the lazy clop-clop of the milkman's horse coming up the street. Yes, you can see it everywhere. Spring does something to people, and spring has done something to Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve. For early in the morning, hours before he's due at the office, Even before Bertie is astir in the kitchen, Summerfield's foremost slug of bed is up and dressed and out of doors. He stands now in the back stoop, barefoot, with a shoe in each hand, and he dabbles a toe in the dewy grass.
It's cold. Well, anyway, here goes. It tickles.
Why, Uncle Mort?
Oh, good morning, Marjorie. You started me. I thought I was alone.
Well, what are you doing up so early?
Well, it was such a fine morning.
And what in the world are you doing with your shoes off?
Oh, those. Well, I suppose it's silly, my dear, but I've always had a sneaking desire to go barefoot in the dew.
You know what? So have I. How is it?
It's cold. Don't try it. I think I'll put my shoes back on before I catch my death.
Yes, you'd better.
Yeah. Hey, Marjorie.
Yes?
You don't have to say anything about this to anybody you know. People might not understand.
Oh, don't worry, Uncle Mort. I understand.
Yeah? My favorite niece. Now, how am I going to get my feet dry?
Oh, isn't it a glorious morning, Uncle Mort?
Yes, it is. It's glorious.
I love spring. I love to see things grow.
This darn grass, it gets between your toes.
Mm-hmm. It all feels so warm and friendly. Seems somehow as if the whole world were in love.
Well, there's one shoe on. What were you saying, my dear?
Nothing. Uncle Mort, what's it like being in love?
Being in love?
Yes. I think I know, but tell me.
Well, a little like an attack of chills and fever. Yeah, only nicer. Where's my other shoe? Oh, I have it. Marjorie, look. Look there.
Where?
By the hedge there, sticking out of the leaf.
Oh, why, it's a crocus.
Yeah, the first crocus of spring. Look at that little thing peeping up at us down there.
Oh, Uncle Mort, now it's really spring.
Yeah, isn't that cute?
Oh, Uncle Mort, don't pick it.
Why not?
Well, why? It looks so sweet there.
Yeah, I know a place where it's going to look sweeter.
Oh, Uncle Mort.
There you are, little crocus. I know somebody you're going to make a big hit with.
Well, Uncle, you better put it in water right away. They don't last long when you pick them.
Well, I'll run over there with it right now.
But, Uncle Mort, do you think Mrs. Ransom wants to see you so early in the morning?
Why, of course. She'll be glad to see me any time.
But before breakfast? On an empty stomach?
Well, I'll only be a minute, my dear. I'll only be a minute. That's funny. She must be here. Here comes my beautiful angel. Hello, Leela.
Oh, Throckmorton, what on earth are you doing here at this hour in the morning?
Yeah, I've got something for you. Guess what?
Oh, this is no time for guessing games, Throckmorton. You woke me up.
Well, Leela, it's 7 o'clock. And it's spring.
Spring?
Yeah. Doesn't spring mean anything to you?
No, not at this hour in the morning. Please go home, Throckmorton.
Oh, look what I brought you, Leela. The first crocus. Yeah, isn't it pretty?
Yes, it's very pretty.
Yeah, let me just put it in your hair.
No, Throckmorton, and take your foot out of the door.
Leela, just one little springtime good morning kiss.
No, Throckmorton, you may not kiss me.
What?
Well, no, in the first place, it's too early. And in the second place, you haven't shaved. Now, please take your foot from my door.
But Leela, after all, we're engaged to be married.
Oh, we are we? Well, sir, I'm not even sure of that. Good morning.
Women. my dear. It's me, all right.
Come on in. We have company for breakfast.
Company? Oh, so it's you, hooker. Old goat. What are you laughing at?
You look so darn silly with that crocus in your hand.
Crocus, yes. I just picked it out in the garden. I just picked it.
That's funny. When I came past Leela Ranson's house a moment ago, I could have sworn that you were trying to give that crocus away.
Now, see here, hooker. I didn't invite you here to breakfast. What are you doing hanging around this neighborhood anyway at this hour of the morning?
Well, I came to weed my victory garden.
Oh, yeah. That victory garden in the lot next door, I can see we'll get plenty of drop-in trade.
Oh, come on. Have some breakfast, Uncle Mort. Maybe it'll cheer you up.
I'll try it. Bertie.
Yes, Mr. Gildersleeve?
Good morning, Bertie.
Morning, sir.
Put this crocus in water, please. Then bring me 2 3-minute eggs, half a grapefruit, and plenty of toast and coffee.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Bertie.
Yes, Judge?
Seeing how it's such a nice day, you can give Mr. Gildersleeve a few of those little sausages that I brought over here.
Yes, sir.
Did you say sausages, Judge?
That's right, Gildy.
Well, now, that's mighty friendly of you, although I hate to admit it.
Yep, I defended a farmer who makes his own sausage yesterday, and I took out my whole fee in trade.
Yeah, I wonder if I can get him to pay his water bill and potatoes.
Oh, goodness. Here comes Superman.
Who?
Hi, sis. Hi, Aunt. Good morning, Judge.
Hello, Leroy.
Morning, Leroy.
Leroy, stick in your shirt tail.
Oh, for corn's sakes. It was okay when I started downstairs.
Here's your orange juice, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Oh, thank you, Bertie.
Oh, Leroy.
Good morning, Bertie.
Don't soft-soap me. Was you in my cake box last night?
Why, no, Bertie.
Now, Leroy?
No, honest, I wasn't.
Oh, Leroy, nobody's going to hang you. Why don't you own up?
Well, because I never touched the darn cake.
Yeah. Wait a minute. What is all this?
It's a case of the people versus Leroy, Throckmorton. The charge is largely of a piece of cake.
Cake. Cake? Oh, yeah. Bertie, it's just possible that I took a piece of cake last night.
Huh, you said possible, Mr. Gildersleeve?
Yes, possible.
Well, that's good enough for me. Case dismissed. Hang the jury and habeas corpus.
Bertie, you very easily could have become a lawyer.
Don't putting ideas into her head, Judge. She's a good cook. Yeah. Get those sausages, will you, Bertie? I can smell them from here, and they're ready.
Yeah, Mr. Gildersleeve, you're right. Them sausages has reached their 0 hour.
Yeah, then bring them out. Plate of sausages, a nice 2-hour nap. I'll be ready to go to the office.
What's that, Bobby? Oh, you can't talk to me like that, you fresh boy, or I'll just hate you. Goodbye, honey. Good morning, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Good morning. Good morning.
Bessie.
Yeah, thank you. Any mail I need to look at, Bessie?
Well, most of it could wait till tomorrow.
Well, that's good.
And I took care of the rest.
Oh, good girl, Bessie. You're beginning to get the hang of the waterworks.
Oh, thank you, sir. There was a letter from that new laundry on State Street, and I answered it. It's on your desk for you to sign.
Oh, fine, Bessie. I'll clean up my day's work in no time. Now, let me see here. Oh, here it is. Parker Hand Laundry, Summerfield. Dear Sirs, received your inquiry about special water rates for laundries. In reply, I beg to inform you we have no special water. We only sell the regular kind. Yours? Oh, that Bessie. I'm going to have to get rid of her.
Oh, Mr. Gildersleeve.
What is it now, Bessie?
There's someone here to see you.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, I can't. Oh, Hello, Leela.
Hello, Throckmorton.
You may go, Bessie.
Yes, sir.
Well, quite a surprise you're being here.
Well, Throckmorton, I just had to come and see you for a minute. I'm afraid I was just a teensy little bit cross earlier this morning.
You hurt my feelings, Leela.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Throckmorton. But you have to understand that no woman likes to be seen early in the morning when she's not exactly at her best. Tell me, how do you like my new dress?
Leela, what did you mean this morning when you said you weren't sure we were engaged?
Oh, well, I didn't mean it just the way it sounded, but sometimes I think you take me too much for granted.
Well, I always thought if you were engaged, why, you're engaged, that's all.
Oh, now you see, there you go, Throckmorton, taking things for granted. You think being engaged is just sitting around holding hands and kissing and such.
You mean there's more to it?
Well, of course there is. Our engagement should be a preparation for our life together. Why, we should be spending this time trying to develop some interests in common, things that we like to do together.
Well,
No, I mean besides kissing. I mean things we're both interested in, things we like to talk about. You know, worthwhile things like world affairs and current events and all.
Yeah. Leela, when I'm with you, I can't think about worthwhile things.
But you must try, darling. I mean, if we're going to be happy later, we must learn to be friends now.
Well, I'm willing to try, if you want to.
Oh.
Friends, huh?
Uh-huh.
Let's start now, then. How about a nice lunch with me at Dabney's Grill? We can get a booth.
Oh, no. Oh, I couldn't possibly, Throckmorton. I'm having lunch with Marie King at the Women's Exchange, and afterward we're going to the Red Cross. Oh, goodness gracious, I'm late now. I must fly.
But, Leela.
Oh, no. Goodbye, Throckmorton, and you think about what I said now like a good boy. Bye.
Good. Women. There's no such thing as women. This world would be a lot better place. Yeah, but who'd want to live in it? I'm going to lunch.
The great Gildersleeve will be with us again in a few seconds. Meanwhile, let me suggest a really practical way to add extra nourishment and extra flavor to everyday meals. Dozens of ordinary dishes turn into very special treats when you add the delicious flavor of Pabstet, the nourishing cheese food with over 100 uses. For example, use Pabstet in making a macaroni casserole and see how good tasting this economical dish can be with that grand cheddar cheese flavor baked in. Or melt Pabstet into a smooth cheese sauce and see how it transforms leftovers of meat or fish into exciting main dishes for the next meal and makes even the plainest of vegetables wonderfully appetizing. Pabstet slices perfectly too, with fruit or pie or just all by itself. It tops off wartime meals with a grand touch of cheese goodness. Yes, for real flavor and for some of the vitamins and minerals your family needs, ask your dealer for Pabstet. He may not always have it on hand because so much of the nation's dairy food is going to war that supplies sometimes run low. But keep watching for economical Pabstet. Buy it when you can. Pabstet, the delicious cheese food with over 100 uses. Well, time mooches on. 2 hours have passed while Gildersleeve, alone in Dabney's Grill, lingered over lunch, glaring at the women around him and muttering into his salad. And now, reluctant to get back to work, he's thought up an excuse to go out to the reservoir and confer with the superintendent. I need hardly tell you that on a spring day, there isn't a pleasanter place in Summerfield than out at the reservoir.
Cooler here. Charlie, Charlie. Uncle Charlie. Might be in the pumping station. Charlie. Charlie Anderson. Not here. Well, it's a nice day. I'll just lie down here in the shade till he turns up. Oh, 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 ho, 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 ho. Ah, spring, 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 you lovely thing. Bees and birds are singing. Listen to the way they sing. Ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Not bad.
No, Mr. Gildersleeve, well, that's pretty good.
Oh, Peavy, where did you come from? I didn't hear you.
Well, I learned to walk Indian fashion as a boy. See? One foot in front of the other.
Yeah, huh?
If I had moccasins on, you couldn't hear me at all.
What are you doing out here, Peavy?
Well, Mr. Gildersleeve, I could ask you the same question.
Well, I'm out here on business.
Oh, I see.
Yes, I'm waiting for the superintendent here, Charlie Anderson.
Oh, in that case, I'll sit down and help you wait.
Who's tending the drugstore while you're out here, Peavy?
Mrs. Peavy.
Yes?
Oh, but it's all right. I've been picking her some wildflowers. See? Trailing arbutus.
Looks like poison ivy to me.
Well, then you don't know trailing arbutus.
Maybe you don't know poison ivy.
Well, I always carry a bottle of calamine lotion with me, just to be on the safe side.
You'd better.
Care for some?
No, thanks. No, thanks. Peavy, speaking of poison ivy, have you ever had much to do with women?
No, in a manner of speaking. I'm married to one.
Yeah, well then tell me, Peavy, what does a woman mean when she says you've been asking her too much, taking her too much for granted?
I haven't heard that in 15 years.
Well, what does it mean?
Well, it usually means that she's been reading a book.
Oh.
I'll never forget the year that Mrs. Peavy subscribed to the Ladies' Home Companion. No peace that year.
What did you do?
I let the subscription run out.
Oh.
Hey, you, what you think you're doing there? Don't you know this is city property?
Charlie Anderson. Wait a minute, Charlie, wait a minute.
Go on, get on here. Get off the property, Dad busted.
Whoa there. Hold your horses, Uncle Charlie. Put on your glasses. It's me, Gildersleeve.
Oh, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Yeah.
Well, by jiggers, it's about time. I called you up. We got to do something here. People coming out here all over the place, breaking bottles, scattering papers, like a dad-busted picnic ground.
Yeah, Charlie, you know Mr. Peavy, don't you?
Of course I know him. What do you think? Know him as well as I know you.
Hello, Mr. Anderson.
Folks come out here at night, too, and park in their dad-busted automobiles. Come out here to spoon. What are we running here, a waterworks or a dad-busted petting parlor?
Well, Charlie, you have to remember...
Holy Toledo.
You have to remember, this is public property. After all, boys will be boys.
Well, I don't mind the boys. It's the women. They come out here in their slacks. And they're worse than the men.
No, well, now, I wouldn't say that.
Come out here in that... What'd you say?
He said he wouldn't say that.
Well, what would he say?
You'll have to ask him. Would you care to enlarge on that thought, Peavy?
Well, my experience with the fair sex has been that they take a little understanding.
I'll say.
Now, Mr. Gildersleeve here has a problem.
I don't know what your problem is, Commissioner, but I'll tell you the answer. Steer clear of women. Have nothing to do with them. Dad bust them, especially this time of the year.
Charlie, I'm inclined to think you're right.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Don't keep saying that, for Pete's sakes. What do you know about women anyway?
Well, I've got one of them waiting at home for me right now. Can either of you gentlemen say the same?
Yeah, well, Peavy's been a bad boy today. He's been playing hooky.
Well, no, I wouldn't say.
Dad, busted, there he goes again.
No offense, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Gildersleeve, if I might offer a suggestion.
Yes, baby, yes.
Have you tried taking our lady friend a posy? They're usually well received.
You know, I took her a posy. That's what started all the trouble.
What did? What did you take her?
Dad busted crocus.
Mr. Gildersleeve, is it all right if I clear away the dishes now?
Oh, yeah, we're finished, Bertie. Yeah, that was a fine dinner.
Well, it should have been, Mr. Gildersleeve. It was pretty expensive.
Oh, really, Bertie? What did it cost?
18 red points, 16 blue points, $2 in cash, and a coffee stamp.
Well. Leroy, go get me a cigar, will you? In the den.
Okay, Unc.
And stick your shirt tail in.
Oh, for corn's sakes. Is that out again?
Well, Margie, I suppose Ben will be coming over this evening.
Well, how'd you guess? Are you going over to Mrs. Ransom's?
Well, I don't know, my dear. I'm not sure I want to.
Oh, why? What's wrong?
Oh, nothing really.
I told you, Unky, this morning not to go rushing over there at the crack of dawn.
Well, she wants me to talk about foreign affairs or something. I don't know what she wants. Worthwhile conversation and all that kind of stuff.
Well, why don't you do it?
Me talk about foreign affairs?
Well, you wouldn't have to talk about them very long.
Oh, I don't understand.
Well, you will. You just try it.
Here's your cigar, Unc. I bit the end off for you.
Oh, perhaps it'd be good enough to smoke it for me, too.
Yeah, sure. You got a light?
Yeah, I'm fooling. Give it to me.
Hey, Unc, have you got a minute?
What do you mean, have I got a minute?
Well, I'd like to discuss something with you.
All right, my boy. Let's discuss it.
Privately, I'd like to discuss it with you man to man.
What's this all about?
I don't know. Will you excuse us, my dear? Just step into the den here, Leroy.
Thanks, Unc.
Now, what's on your mind, young man?
Unc, could I have 53 cents to go to the movies?
I thought movies cost 35 cents.
Well, you see, I'm going with Piggy, and we're each going to buy our own tickets. That's 35.
Oh, yes?
And then we're each going to pay for half of the other ticket.
What other ticket?
Well, we have to have another ticket.
Why?
Well, we're taking somebody.
Who? Who are you taking who can't pay for his own ticket?
Well, we're taking a girl.
A girl, huh?
Yeah, Janie Owen.
You too, Leroy? Well, I suppose it was bound to come. Here's $1. Maybe she likes sodas.
Ah, thanks, Unc. Gee, you're swell. Unc, one more thing.
Yeah, now what?
Don't say anything about this to Marge.
Marge? Well, why not?
Well, 'cause I'd just die if she found out, Unc. Honest, I'd just die.
Yeah, all right, my boy. I won't say anything to your sister.
Thanks. Well, I gotta go.
Leroy.
I know. Stick my shirt tail in.
Yeah.
Hiya, Ben. When did you blow in? So long. Marge, so long, everybody.
Well, he was in a hurry. Evening, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Oh, hello, Ben.
Won't you take the sofa?
Oh, no. Hey, sit still, you two. Sit still. I can sit over here if I want to.
Oh, well, Unky, we were going out anyway, weren't we, Ben?
Huh? Oh, sure. Anything you say, Marge.
Well, we thought maybe we'd go to a movie or something.
Yeah, we thought we'd go to the movies.
No, don't let me drive you out of here. I'll go into my den or someplace.
Oh, no, we don't want you to do that, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Ben.
Yeah, stick around. We weren't going to do anything.
Well, I may go out. I haven't decided. Don't let me get in your way.
Oh, you wouldn't.
Ben, let Uncle Mort do what he wants. If he wants to go in his den, let him go in his den. If he wants to go out, let him go out.
All right, my dear, I'll go. I know you young people want to be together.
Oh, honest, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Ben.
Yeah, I think Ben wants to be alone. I'll go and look into the international situation next door. Hello, Leela.
Oh, hello, Throckmorton. I was hoping you might come over.
You were?
Yes. Come into the parlor, won't you?
Yeah, all right.
Now, what do you think I did after I got through with the Red Cross this afternoon?
I don't know what.
Well, I took a walk out south of town. You know that big tall hill just before you get to the Mansfield Road? Well, I climbed up there all by myself, and I lay there in the grass and just let the spring breeze blow through my hair. I could just feel spring all over me.
Leela, the Allied forces in North Africa make definite progress today.
Really, honey?
You know what I think?
What, Throckmorton?
Well, this is just my personal analysis, of course,
Uh-huh.
but after the Allies take Africa, I wouldn't be surprised if they use it as a base to attack Europe.
Uh-huh. Throckmorton, you're so clever when you want to be. Now, I just would never think of anything like that, but of course, you men are all so military.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Leela, I'm thinking of joining the Book of the Month Club. I imagine it'll be very worthwhile.
Oh, I'm sure it will. All my cousins used to belong back home, and they just loved it. I used to wish I had the time to read all those books. They come pretty often, you know.
Every month.
Sit down here beside me, honey.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Did you hear the symphony concert on the radio this evening?
Oh, well, I missed it. What did they play?
Something by Beethoven.
Oh.
You know Ludwig Beethoven, the well-known composer?
Oh, yes. I just adore his symphonies, especially the Moonlight Sonata.
I thought that was a piano piece.
Oh, well, it's been arranged for the piano. Would you like me to play it for you?
Oh, you know I'd love to hear you play, Leela.
Uh-huh. Strange I should think of the Moonlight Sonata when there's such a lovely moon outside, isn't it?
Yeah? Yeah.
Now, are you sure you want me to play?
Oh, please play. Yeah, Beethoven was certainly a fine composer.
Wasn't he, though?
Very classical.
What does moonlight make you think of, Throckmorton?
Yeah. Lots of things.
Throckmorton, do you like this song?
Oh, Moonlight Becomes You.
I just love it when Bing Crosby sings this.
Oh, Bing Crosby, huh? Moonlight becomes you. It goes with your hair. You certainly know the right things to wear. Moonlight becomes you. I'm thrilled at the sight, and I could get so romantic tonight. You're all dressed up to go dreaming. Now don't tell me I'm wrong. And what a night to go dreaming. Mind if I tag along? If I say I love you, I want you to know it's not just because there's moonlight, although moonlight becomes you so.
What is it, Throckmorton?
We'll come out into the garden.
What for, Throckmorton?
Well, I want to tell you about the Rommel plan.
The great Gildersleeve will return in a minute. These days, the old saying, a penny saved is a penny earned, has a running mate. A point saved is a point earned. Stretching ration stamps has become just as important as saving dollars. And one of the best ways you homemakers can do both is to buy quality foods like Parquet margarine that are good tasting, nutritious, and tops for many uses. Parquet margarine has a delicious, satisfying flavor that makes it just about perfect as a spread for bread. It's a wonderful seasoning for hot vegetables, and when it comes to baking, you can depend on Parquet because it's a flavor shortening. A real flavor shortening. You'll like it for pan frying too. It doesn't spatter or stick to the pan. Every economical package of Parquet margarine helps supply the energy and vitamins your family needs. It's one of the best energy foods you can serve, and every pound contains 9,000 units of vitamin A. Now, if you can't buy Parquet the first time you try, it's because of wartime shortages. But Kraft is doing everything possible to keep dealers supplied, and you should be able to get it soon. So always ask for Parquet, P-A-R-K-A-Y, Parquet margarine made by Kraft. And now, here's the great Gildersleeve again.
Well, Leroy, did you and Peggy have a good time at the movies with your girl?
No, not very.
No? What's the matter? Wasn't the picture any good?
Nah, just a lot of mushy stuff. Besides, after 2 hours, I found I'd been holding hands with Piggy.
Yeah. Good night, everybody. Good night.
The great Gildersleeve was played by Willard Waterman, Marjorie by Mary Lee Robb, and Leela Ransom by Shirley Mitchell. Others in the cast were Carl Hughes as Leroy, Barbara Dahlkemper as Birdie, James Linden as Peavy, Fritz Michaelis as Judge Hooker, Charles Beavis as Charlie Anderson, Norbert Weissman as Ben, and Deborah Pining as Bessie. Our pianist was Gloria Gunningham, and sound effects were by Phil Weil, Rosemary Swick, and Steve Dilley. Recording engineers were Rick Garofalo and Jim Zaremski. The great Gildersleeve script was transcribed by Janet Hoshaw. The program was directed by Jed Skillman and produced by Tom Turpak and Chuck Schaden. This is your announcer, Al Barbaro, speaking for the Kraft Cheese Company, and inviting you to listen in again next week for the further adventures of the great Gildersleeve. This program came to you from the Radio Hall of Fame at the Museum of Broadcast Communications in Chicago. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
This is a wonderful cast, and this is a wonderful experience. To have you folks here means a lot to me and to all of us. We thank you so much for being here. Now, we have another little treat for you. Have a seat for just a second. Why don't you have a seat for a second, too? You know, during the... I'm not used to a two-sided mic here. During the weeks of rehearsal for this recreation, we, of course, in Chicago didn't have the benefit of our talented stars this afternoon because they didn't get here till last night. And so we had to have understudies who worked with the other cast as they prepared this recreation. Now, there were these three people who were hoping your planes would not get here. And then when the planes got here safely, they were hoping for a snowstorm, so you couldn't get here from the Hyatt Regency. But they made it, and these folks didn't get the big chance. They didn't get the break, just as Mary Lee didn't get the break that time when Marjorie finally showed up. But we thought these folks that did such a good job in the rehearsals, we wanted them to get a little bit of recognition. So I want you to meet the three understudies. And in fact, we're going to give them a page and a half in the sun. And we would like to have them show you a scene from this particular broadcast as it was done by them at the rehearsals. So first I'd like you to meet Karen Skillman, who played Marjorie. Karen? Now, it's not true, Karen, that you got this plum job of being an understudy because you know the director, right?
Oh, no, it has nothing to do
Not
with
true.
it. No, I was the only one that wanted Marjorie's part.
But her husband, the director, said, well, go ahead and do it anyway. You're with the Radio Players West?
Yes.
And what do you do?
With the radio
No,
players?
in real life.
Oh, I'm in the accounting department at Editel in Chicago.
Okay, well, you take your spot over here and we'll hear your version of Marjorie. And you're going to get a critique from Mary Lee afterwards. In the role of Leela is Pat Apida. Where's Pat? Come on up, Pat. Pat, you're with which of the groups?
The Northwest Suburban and the Norwich.
Oh, doing two groups. Okay, and what do you do?
I play the organ at a funeral home. Honest.
Which is why we got Gloria for this bit today, right?
Oh, she does a much better job.
We didn't think anybody was going to die up here this afternoon. Okay, Pat, well, you come over and do your Leela Ransom role, and you're going to be over here, I guess, at this mic in just a second, okay? And Shirley's going to critique you after that. Not really. And in the role of the great Gildersleeve is David Condon. Dave? This guy looks a little more like Hal Perry, I think. Dave, which group are you with?
With the West Group.
With the West Group. Well, a lot of heavy Westers here. Okay, and what do you do, Dave?
Well, I've been a graphic artist, but I'm still not sure what I want to be when I grow up.
Okay, so you may even get into radio, right?
Who could know?
Okay. All right, Jed, are you ready to do your stuff with your three understudies?
Let's take it from page 6.
Okay.
It all feels so warm and friendly. Seems somehow as if the whole world were in love.
Well, there's one shoe on. What were you saying, my dear?
Oh, nothing. Uncle Mort, what's it like, being in love?
Being in love?
Yes, I think I know, but tell me.
Well, it's a little like an attack of chills and fever, only nicer. Where's my other shoe? Oh, I have it. Marjorie, look! Look there!
What?
By the hedge there, sticking out of the leaf.
Why, it's a crocus.
Yeah, the first crocus of spring. Look at that little thing peeping up at us down there.
Oh, Uncle Mort, now it's really spring.
Yeah, isn't that cute?
Oh, don't pick it.
Why not?
Oh, but why? It looks so sweet there.
I know a place where it's going to look sweeter.
Oh, Uncle Mort.
Yeah, there you are, little crocus. I know somebody you're going to make a big hit with.
Well, you better put it in water right away, Uncle Mort. They don't last very long when you pick them.
Then I'll run over there with it right now.
But Uncle Mort, do you think Mrs. Ransom would want to see you so early in the morning?
Why, of course. She'd be glad to see me anytime.
But before breakfast and on an empty stomach?
Well, I'll only be a minute, my dear. I'll only be a minute. That's funny. She must be here. Ah, here comes my beautiful angel. Hello, Leela.
Oh, Throckmorton, what on earth are you doing here at this hour in the morning?
I've got something for you. Guess what?
Oh, this is no time for guessing games, Throckmorton. You woke me up.
But Leela, it's 7 o'clock and it's spring.
Spring?
Yes, doesn't spring mean anything to you?
Not at this hour in the morning. Please go home, Throckmorton.
Oh, look what I brought you, Leela. The first crocus. Isn't it pretty?
Yes, it's very pretty.
Yeah. Let me put it in your hair.
No, Throckmorton. And take your foot out of the door.
Why, Leela, just one little springtime good morning kiss.
No, Throckmorton, you may not kiss me.
What?
No. In the first place, it's too early. And in the second place, you haven't shaved. Now, please take your foot from my door.
But, Leela, after all, we're engaged to be married.
Oh, we are we? Well, sir, I'm not even sure of that. Good morning.
Yeah, women.
Well, we hope you enjoyed your afternoon here. If you want to get some autographs, our cast is going to leave the stage this way and be in the rotunda area, and you can just go out that way, and there'll be another little line, but they'll be glad to sign an autograph. Thanks very much for listening. Thanks for being with us. Have a good afternoon.